Hey, welcome to the Thursday night live stream. Sorry I'm a few minutes late. I actually canceled this, but I hated keeping everybody waiting and thought I'd come in here and we thought we'd jump in here and say hey to you all and see how you're doing and talk a little bit. But I am having some issues with my voice. It wants to go out on me. Sounds rough. But anyway, we're here. So let's just enjoy all and do what we can here. Appreciate you all dropping by. Good to see you, Andy. Gun loving grandpa, Reloader 762, G23. Let me not miss nobody because I'm already calling the names out. Uh, Reloader, Michael Hurtnick. Hey, Michael. Tim S. Good to see you, Tim. All right, what's going on, Echo? What you doing today, bro?
I am just taking it easy, brother. My wife got back into town, and I went and got the Fauci ouchie, for the cocoa.
That's a good
And
rhyme. That's a good
yeah,
rhyme. Yeah.
I heard that from, I'm not sure if he made it up, but roll call 219 roll call 219 219. He's the only person I've heard say it.
Mm-hmm.
So it may be like somebody else made it up, but he's the one I give the credit to because he's the one I heard it from. And he's a
Mm-hmm.
great YouTuber. He's a prior military veteran, and he's a real squared away guy. And if any of y'all get a chance to go over to his channel, if you go to my channel, his channel is in my list of channels, and it's on my front page along with another fella. His name's Eagle, and it's Eagle Reloading or Eagle Reloads. And Eagle Reloads is a first-time reloader who is documenting from start to finish reloading ammunition on a Dillon 550, and his channel is listed on there as well. So go over and check his channel out, and it's really kind of neat, especially if you're a reloader for any time, because he, is going through questions that we had, and it'll give you a little nostalgia feeling, and there might be something that you can help him with, answer a question or something to that effect. And he would love to have you come over and check his channel out. Also, let's see here. All right, this one, Kentucky Range Time. Kentucky Range Time is a fella that does reloading, shooting, does all kinds of different things involving firearms and stuff. And he's another channel that I have on my my list of channels that I consider my friends. I represent channels that have 500 or less subscribers. And me and AR are both big promoters of other small channels. And we're all trying to get everyone to work together to promote each other. We like AR does Georgia Shooting Connection with JH586. And basically, we try to promote them. They try to promote us. We all try to promote each other and do that kind of thing. So if you have 500 subscribers or less, and you would like to be get a shout out and some free advertising for your channel, send you can, if you've got my number, you can send me an email or text me if you got my phone number. And if you don't, AR's got his email address. It's ARguns1776, just like his channel, at gmail.com. And leave your name, and we will take care of you. Oh, and Tread and all the other winners, Uncle Jim, Tread, and there was one other gentleman. Hold on, let me look. I've got his name.
Joel.
Joel. Yes, I think it is. I think maybe. Hold on, let me double check here.
Yeah, congratulations, Tread. Long time ago, I won a bottle or two from Echo. First thing I ever won on the internet. So it was kind of cool. I still got it. The oil over here.
It's good oil.
Mm-hmm. Hey, there's High Boy. Wow.
Oh, hey, High Boy. What's going on, brother? Nice to see you.
Yeah, good to see you, High Boy. I almost basically had a cancel stream here, and I decided just jump on here anyway. And my voice is fading in and out, but pollen and who knows what else, immune system. But thought I'd get in here anyway and say hello, just do some talking, see what's going on with everybody.
Okay, here we go.
My boy says, hey, hello to you.
Hey, brother. Nice to see you. If you want to join the chat, just ask and we will throw you a link. Not a problem.
Yeah, I originally had this chat scheduled for 8, and I was canceled on it, and was talking to Echo, and I said, oh, crap. I just didn't want to sit there and watch YouTube. I thought it'd be better just get on here and talk with you all. So at least you kind of forget about your stuff and just think about reloading and guns and stuff. Yeah, I was going to ask you the other day, did you get that email from me, or did you get that mailed out yet?
Yeah. Mailed it today, and yes, it was Joel. Joel, and Tread, and Uncle Jim. Your packages were shipped today. They're coming in flat rate boxes. They should be priority, so you should get them Saturday or Monday. Because they charged me a fortune. So I'm getting, and there's no big deal about that. I'd rather you guys have your stuff in a hurry and make sure. So I got you the boxes there, everything real professional, and you have brought some packaging and everything. And I packed you guys with quite a few of those things of lube. So you should be happy.
Yeah, it's great. Andy says he's got that bolt in the mail from Mossberg. I thought you already had it, but apparently
he did. Oh, something. Okay. So what happened, Andy, with the original stuff? I thought you got that bolt from your gunsmith friend. He ordered you that, and it did it not Headspace or something?
You want to come on here, Andy, and update us on that? I'll give you a link if you do. You're welcome to.
Just drop one in the chat. I mean, if we get any wise guy, we can just click them right back out.
I can put it in the back channel here too. Yep. So I don't even have the other browser up now tonight, like I usually do. Hang on, I'm gonna fire it up though. Move it over there. Now I gotta move the browser over to the other monitor. You do that, Echo? You just drag it.
What?
You click on it. You click on it. Well, that's the way I got it set up. You just click on it and drag it over to the other monitor, just like it's one big gigantic monitor.
You're just a big fancy guy.
I wish I had two 27 inches instead of 27 and a 22.
Next, you're gonna get a couple 42s.
I'd love to have a 32 one of these days, at least a 32. And I got a 32 over at TV though, actually. So it don't have the clarity that a PC monitor has.
No, never will.
Andy's talking.
Pixel rates are different.
Andy says they said they no longer make the bolt head for mine, so I ordered a complete bolt. Oh, okay. We got a link in the side chat, guys. Anybody want to come on? You're welcome to. I'm sure. Oh, there's Walter. What's up, Walter? I need to clean this room up in here. It's a mess.
Yeah.
Paper. I've been in and out running lately, shopping
And
grabbing
working out in the
stuff.
front and backyard too. So you've been getting to tools and stuff like that.
Yeah, and apparently pollen, all that's got my voice messed up.
Yeah, you opening it up the doors and letting it in.
Yeah. Strange when you get old how your immune system starts. There's our boy. Yeah. Hey, there's the man. Strange when you get old how your immune system starts. Hold on a minute.
Come on.
What's up, hi boy?
The man. Hey.
Hey.
It's
good to see.
Good. It's a good Thursday night. It's good to see everybody.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you, Echo. How you doing?
I'm doing good, brother. Nice of you to ask. I caught your Bible study the other night.
Oh, good.
Yeah. You had a good turnout.
Heck yeah. Yeah.
I was in there for a little bit. Why am I hearing noise here? Oh, hearing echo. I'm hearing echo.
Nothing here, brother.
It's okay. We can still talk. Hey, GGW. So what you been up to, huh, boy? What's going on?
Think he stepped away from the computer for a second. Anyways, AR, so what, oh, there he is. So what's going on? What's going on, hi boy? What have you been covering? You been doing anything cool?
Not really. Hang on, I'm getting a lot of feedback and I don't know why.
Yeah, I can hear it. Actually, I was thinking my speakers are wrong, but they're not. So.
Do you have your
myself,
echo?
See if it goes away.
Are you making computers? Uh-oh.
No, he probably jumped out and is going to probably try to reset or reboot or something.
Hey, MK Joe, what's up? Good to see you all here. Wish we had planned this a little bit better. We'd have a topic, but I'm sure we'll create something.
Well, you know what we can do is we can talk to our subscribers and see what they want to talk about, and that way.
We're waiting on High Boy.
Yeah.
So. That's cool to have him here.
Yeah, very neat. Yeah, very neat.
I'm glad I fired this up instead of wimping out.
Yeah, it's always better to stick to your schedule, even if you have to cut it short because you don't feel good. It's better to show up and show to your subscribers that you gave it your good old American try. I mean, even if the series just straight up is going into a dumpster fire, I always try to continue on and just kind of grit your teeth and get on through it. Some chats are definitely going to be better than others.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So what's up?
I'm sorry. Oh, he's back. Okay.
Yeah. So what you been up to, huh, boy?
Not a lot. I started working on a video 2 weekends ago because it got cool, and it's gonna probably be a 2-hour video, but it went right back up into the close to 100 degrees. So starting tomorrow, it's gonna cool down. And we're actually, if you can see my shop, we have all these tables set up with yard sale items, and we got a lot of. It was really cool. We got like 600 Hot Wheels from the past, and we're gonna be selling all of those. And I'm gonna even sell some reloading equipment. So after this weekend, hopefully in the evenings, I'll start working on my videos, and I should have more content coming out.
Great. Yeah, always watch your stuff.
I want to say hi to a few guys. Of course, the awesome Walter Bunning, who wears his S on his chest. He covers it, but it's there. We know. And then I want to say Michael Hartnick, Vanessa Kitty. I'm just Uncle Milty, just some of the guys that I recognize. And Andy 79Z28, one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, that's for sure. And
yeah, they're a bunch of great guys.
And then everyone else that I don't know, it's just a pleasure to be here. ARguns1776, I see you there. So I want to thank AR Guns and Echo for inviting me on. I was in the front room watching TV with my wife, and I saw the notification come up, and I clicked it, and then I heard Echo invite me, so I'm like, what the heck? I'm in.
We usually got a topic kind of planned out tonight, just whatever. Yeah. I do like the planned ones though, a little bit better.
That's just it's good showing up. You know, as a host, you always feel like you want to have a topic because people have come to see you, but you know, from my end, it's okay. It's just fine.
Yeah.
I know. I got a topic. It's adjustable wrenches.
Oh, okay.
Adjustable wrenches. Hang on. Let me get some wrenches.
I got a few of them.
Okay. Keep it. Hey, you get your adjustable wrench out too, Echo, and I'll get mine.
No, because I know what you have,
I got
and
blue,
if it's what I think he has,
probably not like mine.
What do you think it is?
I think it's those adjustable wrench pliers that self-adjust that are made by a German company that are kind of pricey, and you can actually push roll pins in an AR-15 with them. They are so accurate. They don't maul. What are they made? They're hold on, I'll tell you what they are. I've got a pair of them in my Amazon cart. Knippets, yes.
Knippets. Yeah, I want one. They're nice.
So did I guess right? Hi, boy. Are they Knippets?
No, they're not.
They're not. Wow. What else? What kind of guy? Because you know us guys, we're all into tools. Every reloader's into tools.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know how many of you are on Facebook. I bounce between my forum and Facebook, and I'm on this one group, Harbor Freight Junkies. It's a cool group.
I like the name.
Yeah. You know, but you can talk about any tool on there, right? And you know, if you have Snap-on, a lot of those guys hate your guts. They just do. I mean,
yeah.
You know, I love my Snap-on, I do. But years ago, I knew this old guy and his wife, and he had surgery, and I just was going to their house, taking care of him and helped him get his van running. And I just did a lot of things that no one had done for him for years, you know, because that's just how I am. And he called me up one day and said, would you come to our house? And we need a favor from you. And I said, absolutely, I'll be there. And so I went to their house, and he gave me a van. He was going to sell this van that I got running for him. And believe it or not, it was as if you pulled it off the showroom floor from 1976. He always took care of it, always had it meaned, always had it tuned up. It's just that it needed a new control box, a new a new control mod. That's all it needed. And of course I went through the carburetor for him, just simple stuff. Well, they were going to sell it, and then he gifted it to me. I just couldn't believe it. Well, he said, I also have 2 more things I want to give you. Just 2 more things. He said, my dad went to work for Union Pacific Railroad. I want to say, I could be wrong on this. He said back in the 30s, he was a young man and went to work for Union Pacific, and he was issued a Union Pacific toolbox, but his dad never used the tools. His job didn't use the tools, but every man got a box of tools. And so look what I got. Look at this thickness of those crescent wrenches.
Wow.
They're thick. They're massive.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the actual crescent. Okay.
Yeah. Toledo.
Made in Jamestown, right? So I was at work and I got a new crescent wrench. You know, it's bad enough that like when you get a crescent wrench in your especially like you're up under something you can't see and you're going and it keeps loosening. Well, now I've noticed that newer crescent wrenches, they make them cheaper. If you get them too tight and torque too much, you can't back them off. You have to go against the torque to break it against the jaw screw, and then you can back it off. It just drives me nuts. I've never had that problem with these old crescent wrenches, but if you look at some of the new ones, they're kind of
issues.
They're pretty cheap, you know. So am I the only one that experiences that? I'm just curious, you know. That's my topic.
We had some sound issues there. Did you hear the sound go crazy, Echo?
What do you mean?
I couldn't even hear High Boy when he was talking. It kind of.
I heard him. I heard him fine.
I couldn't hear him.
I think everybody in the side could hear him if I could hear him.
Well, I couldn't.
He was talking about these crescent wrenches and how today's crescent wrenches, like I tell you what, the new Craftsman stuff, that stuff's all made in China. It's all horrible. It's all horrible. If you have to actually buy a Mac tool or a Snap-on tool to get a decent tool anymore. Napa still has decent tools if you go to their shop, but they don't make a full selection of tools like they once did.
Yeah, true. I go in there. Okay, I was in there a few weeks ago.
Yeah, but they can get you a tool. Like if you're trying to do a project on your car and it's not a right-of-way thing, they can get you pretty much anything.
Walter's got a link in the side chat.
Okay, this Craftsman is probably 15 years old. Now, naturally, it's smaller, you know, than this Crescent. But if you compare this to the Craftsman, that's the same size as this Crescent. That's your thickness difference from the old and the new.
Wow.
That's a huge difference. Huge difference.
Yeah.
And another thing, the width of the older Crescents build into the jaw backing off on the adjustment screw. It gives it more real estate to bite into. If I'm telling you, all you viewers, get you an older Crescent wrench and just don't tear it apart and clean it. Just lube it up in a little oil so it frees up. And actually, you can take some of the Remington Action Cleaner and just spray it out, and then just take you some gun oil or anything and lube it up. Be good to go. Get on eBay. You know, I'll tell you what. If I could an old one of these, I'd pay $50 for an old one of these versus Craftsman on sale for $29 any day of the week, because you won't need a warranty with this.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, those old Crescents, Craftsman back in the day copied them and made a cheaper tool, but they were still made 30, 40 years ago pretty decent. They weren't a Crescent style tool, you know, they weren't that quality, but they were a manufactured tool that they could still sell and make a profit at it, made in the USA. I've got a 1980s ratchet that's still a 1/4-inch ratchet and a 3/8 that run big extensions and stuff, no problem. You go down and buy 3 of those new 3/4-inch ratchets from Craftsman, And in one afternoon, you'll strip out at least 2 of those. I have never seen, what they're doing is when you strip them, they take the main body of it, they send it overseas, and they put cheap Chinese guts in it. And when you strip a ratchet, usually it tears up the inside of the ratchet. And when it does that, it makes it unrebuildable. And basically they're rebuilding it. And when you put any kind of force on it, the tool marks where the last one broke inside grab the new assembly and just destroy it just as easily.
Yeah.
Hey, Kyle. How you doing, brother? Hey, Walter.
Hey, guys.
Man, Walter, it's good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Yeah, hi, boy. I haven't seen you in a while.
Hey, we got the old gang back.
Yeah, I see. Kyle's in here. I'm glad he dropped by. Appreciate it. GGW, good to see you.
So Michael Hartnick asked me about my truck. I didn't really know what you were asking. Something about a picture or something?
I have a 90.
I'll tell you, on my 79 Ford, not trying to get straight away from guns or nothing, but, with COVID and the lack of workers and machine shops lacking help and not being able to get raw materials, I've been waiting to get an Edelbrock Performer intake since beginning of March. Edelbrock still doesn't have it, and they're saying October 17th, and that'll be the 3rd month they've had to delay it another month. I couldn't, if I had $1,000, I couldn't get an intake right now. Well, that's a lie. There's a guy that's got an intake right now is about $360. There's a guy, he was on eBay, he was asking $700 for a brand new one, and he had like 20 some odd bids. It was going through the roof. They're having the same problem with automobile parts as we do with components. People are charging outrageous prices.
We got shortages everywhere out there. It's bad.
Maybe there's primers in that intake. What do you think, Walter?
I think you ought to sell some of your primers at your garage sale. That's what I think.
I'll take a few.
For that, I'd ride all the way up there on the bike again.
Could you imagine if I put a Facebook post in in my area, garage sale, and I'll have 65,000+ primers for sale?
Oh gosh sakes! I just saw an ad from Extreme Bullets, and they're copper plated mostly, but they've got some jacketed stuff too. And it looked really exciting first until I did the math. But they called it a 5-pack. I think it was 5 bricks of their Extreme primers and 5,000 of their 55 grain jacketed 223 bullets, and it was $1,000. I thought, well, 5,000 bullets, and so it works. It works out. You're still paying a dime for their primers, a dime a piece. No, sorry. So I'm still good on primers for another couple years if I don't go crazy. But I've dropped back. I don't know about the rest of you guys. I had a decent supply, but I was shooting 1,000 rounds a month, and now I'm only shooting 100 rounds a week, so 400 rounds a month or so. But at that rate, I can go a couple more years. But after that, if something doesn't happen, then I'm dead in the water too.
Can't get parts. Yeah, parts are bad everywhere. Even on printer ink, I'm having trouble getting. Everything. Did you all hear about the automobile factories are going to be running not 2 or 3 days a week or something? They're only going to give the chips for Corvettes and trucks.
Yes, and there are certain model trucks that won't be getting the chips. The trucks that have all the bells and whistles, like the fully loaded ones, because they have multiple computers in there to do all of the maintain your lane and vehicle avoidance systems and all that stuff. Those aren't going to be offered. The ones that are pretty much like a loaded work truck, You know, not something you would have your wife and you drive as a house vehicle. So they're not going to be putting those. Just the ones that they sell the most of are going to be getting chips, more or less. You know, money talks kind of thing.
I think Jerry 1911 said he was getting a truck from. He works at a factory. He's getting a big giant. I forget what it is. Chevy truck. Maybe a dually. I can't remember now.
Yeah, he might be getting a 1 ton.
He mentioned the other day.
I went to buy, I did buy a new sedan, a little Toyota Camry, a year ago, August. And you should have seen those guys trying to buy my Toyota Tundra, 350 motor V8 and extended cab.
Oh, you had truck. The 5.7 motor in it.
Oh yeah, and those they were offering me more than, and that truck was a 2010, and so it was 10 years old. They were offering me more than I paid new for that truck.
Oh yeah,
wow.
That was last year at this time was kind of right at the beginning of people wanting to get out and travel but didn't want to stay in motels and hotels, and so they were buying RVs, and then they had to get something to pull them with. They went, but folks were buying the trailers and the fifths and had nothing, and then had to go look for something to pull it with, and they found out there wasn't anything.
Yeah. So listen to this. My buddies that drive tow trucks still over in Orlando, they said if they ran one of those fancy, the kind that is actually like a home and it will motor out, but it's not it's like a trailer, but you can live in them. You could put them in an RV park and the sides expand out, but they're 40 feet long. They're a good size package. And they were hooking these with their tow trucks and putting them in these campgrounds because they could not get trucks to even tow them. The place that has a dually, because they have one obviously to move trailers around, they were backed up like 3-4 months on delivery.
Oh yeah. They're still backed up on pickups. It's just, you go down to look at the dealers and there's nothing there. And if you've got a used one, they're right all over you, man. They want those used trucks because there's still a high market for it. But I told them,
what else is copper. I was doing a thing where I was talking to the guys at Hornady, and I was, just shooting the crap with the guys in the reloading department. I was asking some technical questions. And so I started getting to know this one fellow over the last year or so. And I called him up and was asking him about reloading, and they were running 24/7, and they were only stopping. They're running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365, even Christmas this year. But they're running out of raw materials. At first it was primers. Now it's copper, and they make brass, from the copper. The bullets obviously have copper, jackets. And so that's been kind of slowing them down. And that's just, and if you look right now, there's a copper shortage going on.
Yeah.
Have you all ever seen a time like this?
No,
where we are right now. It reminds me of
this
stories.
bad,
Go ahead, Walter.
I would say we've had ammo and primer and component shortages before, and that's why some of us old salts, some of the really old guys like Highboy over there, we stocked up. We learned that if at all possible, it's you don't want to live from paycheck to paycheck, so to speak. Who's this? Oh, this is this really nice guy named Kevin who speaks with an Indian accent. He calls me every day just to see how I am and make sure that my truck warranty is still in force. What a nice guy,
I read in the news the other day, they said they're only going to do it for those two vehicles. That's what I read.
Yeah.
Who knows if that's accurate? My aunt used to tell me stories of World War II, my mother. This reminds me of World War II because it's everything, not just computers, chips, ammo. I mean, it's like the whole world's in a shortage.
Yeah, but you know, I learned to keep, you know, a good supply of stuff on hand. But even now, I'm starting to wonder. I don't know how long it's lasted longer than I had originally expected for this go around.
Oh, I knew it was going to be a long time, and it's going to be. Real quick, I got some pictures I want to show Michael. Just I don't want to keep them on hold, and you don't have to. You can leave the screen as it is. I got 3 pictures. Okay, so this is my truck. That's my 79.
Hey, I'll blow it up.
And that's the first picture. I'll show you another one. You'll see the winch on the front.
Nice.
It's got the Warn winch on the front, and it's got pretty low miles, really. And what I have for it, I have a brand new Edelbrock AV2. The AV2 carburetor, it sprays better than the conventionals, so it should have better torque, smoother acceleration. I'm waiting for the intake. I've got a new rear tank, and it's got a new it's got a 400 with an aluminum intake. And then what I have on the garage floor on the other side of the bench is the 1-ton front axle assembly for the front. So next spring, hopefully, I'd like to tear into that and rebuild it and get it. And I'm going to put just a 2-inch lift. That's all. So that's it's just killing me. It's sitting in the driveway, you know, and I'm just waiting for my intake. And my employer's being really awesome. As soon as the intake's available, they're going to let me take my vacation time to work on my truck. So I'll have coffee, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to be drinking coffee, relaxing while Walter's under the truck.
Yeah. I'm up in there. Come on, give me your tranny jack. Hurry up, man. I can't hold it anymore.
So I will say something. When I was young, my father was really heavily into reloading, and he knew all the reloading guys, the main reloading guys in town that like everyone went to. And I remember there was a lot of guys would have reloading stuff set up in pawn shops, in back of gun shops. And one guy he was a gunsmith and did custom reloading. And all you ever heard those guys say was, don't ever stop buying your components. And some of these guys had like millions of primers. That was their stock, not what they sold. I remember one guy, he had kegs of powder, just kegs, and he was in his late 60s probably. So before the about a year before COVID hit, I was going through a lot of my primers, and over the years before that, I hadn't been replenishing them. I just wasn't. But then about a year before COVID, I thought, man, I better get them stocked back up. So I got to 50,000, but I just kept buying them every 2 weeks. And some of my friends said, man, you're a nut for that. Why do you do that? And I buy 1,000 every 2 weeks, 1,000 every 2 weeks. And I think my wife was beginning to wonder too, I realized, I got to get these back up there. And then COVID hit. Yeah. And I remember the video. I said this in the video. The economic side of our world will be much more affected than the lives of people from COVID. Not to take away that some people have passed away. That you can't. That's horrible. But the economic outfall that we're going to see is a globe. And I was just talking to sportsmen. They're starting to get their primers in now. But I told them, I said, don't sneeze. With the Delta coming out and everyone freaking out, it's going to collapse again. And the worst thing our government did is dole the money out for people to stay home. They should have said, if you want to work. If you don't, then you're not going to make money. But as a society, we still got to survive. We didn't do that. And it's a huge political plan. And I don't want to go political on us here, but I am telling everybody, you better be wise with every penny you got and every component you got, because it's going to get really tough. I'll tell you what I'm doing. Just killing me seeing what Walter's been doing. He's been digging the lead out of, he's been getting scrap lead. And as soon as it's cool, that's what I'm going to do. It's been too hot to go to the desert, but I want to try and get as many 5-gallon buckets full before it gets wet. And then all winter, I'm just going to be getting my ingot stacked up. And then the other thing I'm going to do is shoot rifle, for semi-long distance, because I'm going to use less primers. I got to pull the trigger on something. But as far as my high volume, I put a stop on that because
I slowed way down. As I said, I was shooting, easily 1,000 rounds a month, and I'd go to the range a couple times a week and take 3 or 4 firearms and shoot, 250, 400 rounds. Now I go once a week and I take 2 firearms and I shoot 50 through each, and that's it. But I also go pick up, a couple of gallon freezer bags full of brass and 30 pounds of lead, and I've got more lead now. And maybe this is wrong. I don't know. You guys tell me if you think this is wrong of me, but I have enough lead for myself to cast until I get done shooting, and I've got a good stockpile of copper-plated bullets for the revolvers that I shoot. I shoot mostly plated through my revolvers, and all lead, almost 99%, I would say, lead through my semi-autos. But I got enough lead stashed for me. If I never acquired any more lead at all, I couldn't probably shoot the lead that I have. But I also know that lead's going to get scarce at some point, because we're not mining any lead here. And all the lead smelters in this country are closed down now. I think maybe there might be one that's still operating. So any lead that we get is going to be recycled car batteries, or it's going to have to come from other countries. So it's going to get scarce. And I know that there are going to be other guys that are going to crop up that I'm going to want to help out, that are going to need the lead. And so I continue to collect it and turn it into ingots and just store it. It doesn't take up, lead's heavy. It doesn't take a whole lot of room to store half of lead. Even in my little piddly garage, I can do that. So there's a couple other fellas in the gun club that are kind of doing the same thing, and between the 3 of us, we're keeping that berm at the gun club clean at the same time, and so we're recycling our own lead most of the time. But I feel good about the recycling part of it, and I feel good about hanging on to some of that lead. Even though I'm not going to use it, I'm going to be able to help somebody else out at some point who needs it. So,
how many pounds do you think you have, Walter?
I have a lot more than I had at this point last year, but I probably have, I might have a ton.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
2,000. You got 2,000 pounds of lead?
Yeah, probably close to that.
Wow.
Yeah,
hey,
I mean, it might be 1,500. I haven't added.
You want to barter some primers for lead?
It could happen. We'll have to both drive to Oregon and meet.
Are you and me lopsided here? Because we.
Yeah. I got all kinds of bullet making material, but short on primers. You got tons of primers, not enough lead. But what I'm going to do is, and I haven't told anyone this, so no promises. This is a sneak peek of my goal for everybody. But if I get into the lead like I want, with every live stream, I will probably do an ingot giveaway, but the winner pays the shipping. I don't have the money on my channel. I just don't. But I thought, someone that's casting, they could use the lead. If they just pay the shipping, I'll send them the lead, Yeah.
So I was kind of thinking that, Huh?
I said Andy is over in the side chat saying he's also collecting zinc, and I have probably 400 pounds of zinc right now. It won't be long here in California that they're going to outlaw lead in any form. That's already outlawed for hunting, but there's a bill that's come up twice now that they want to outlaw the use of lead ammo, even in private gun ranges.
Wow.
So, and, you know, it's a long way, has been a long way from passing thus far, but eventually I fear that they'll get there. So you know, there's several folks across the country, Andy and myself, and you know, a number of other guys who are, you know, have learned to cast with zinc. There's drawbacks to it, and there's pluses and minuses. But so I've been stashing my zinc also.
If I wanted, every day I could get a 5-gallon bucket of zinc free. Every tire store has it. I just you know, it's like, where do you have room to store stuff like that? You know, I guess like being,
you know, you'd have to melt it, and handling zinc's a little different than lead, and Andy will be the first to tell you that. You know, the melting point's considerably higher. You don't want to mix it into your regular lead casting pot at all. You want dedicated pots. You need a cast iron pot, a steel lined pot like the Lee pots and the Lyman. You don't, or the new Lyman pot like the Mag 25. You don't want to put zinc into those. Zinc doesn't play well with steel. So there, I mean, but it's not undoable at all, and we may all end up there at some point having to cast our bullets out of zinc and learning to shoot lightweight bullets and all that kind of stuff. But I'm trying to get prepped for that eventuality also. It might not happen in my lifetime where lead's completely outlawed. I don't, you know. So anyway, there's that.
Yeah, I think you're right on that lead plant. I think under the Obama years, near the tail end, they said they closed that last plant.
Yeah.
I read that a few years back, definitely. So we may not have any. I don't think we do.
Yeah, most of the lead, you know, all the lead that's in new car batteries is coming from recycled car batteries, you know, or some other recycled source. So, and the same thing with most of the lead. I believe that most of the lead that our common manufacturers, you know, Spear and Hornady and those guys, I think that's all reclaimed range lead.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. I got a guy that's a tire store there, a used mom and pop, and he's saving me soft lead. He won't sell me, you know, the wheel weights. He says, no, I use them. He just takes them, knocks them back on the wheel, keeps using them over and over and over. I don't like to use weights on wheels, but that's what they do. Those mom and pops.
Yeah. Yeah, Andy's saying he buys mixed wheel weights. Prices up. Yeah, 50 cents a pound. Mixed wheel weights, if you couldn't get them given to you around here 10 years ago in California, when we still had lead wheel weights, which they're outlawed here now. So we still get, find a few here and there, but it's mostly zinc. But I'll say 10 years ago, you could go buy a 5-gallon bucket of wheel weights and they'd be mixed. And I was paying 25, 30 cents a pound for that stuff back then. But back then I was throwing the zinc away. What did I know?
I got some coming from someone. I won't say who. They're going to send me some. Eventually get some, get a pot, get everything, and become a caster.
I'm going to put an order in for some Missouri bullets. Their magic alloy. Probably, hopefully this month.
What's their price, high boy, on that?
Oh man, I always forget. If it hasn't went up, it's not bad. I'll go look.
Yeah,
it's like 20,
around,
isn't it?
Around $2.50 a pound to get it to your door. It's in that neighborhood for their 92.62, you know, hard cast type stuff.
Is that like Lyman too?
No, it's harder.
It is harder, Walter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a 16 hardness.
Lyman number 2 runs around 15 BHN, and the 92.62 mix runs around 16 to 17. It kind of depends a little bit on how old it is and whatnot, but the stuff from Missouri Bullet Company is a hard cast, and so that puts it up at BHN 16.
Wow.
It has a little more antimony in it than Lyman number 2.
So that would be better for making a hard cast hunting bullet.
Yeah, or something that you're going to push out of a revolver at 1,500 feet per second, or
I'll go in there and look at that. Check it out.
$235
a pound.
It's $235 a pound. So after you pay shipping, Walter's right. It's about $250, but you can't beat it. It's ready to go.
Yeah, that's one of the better prices around. There are other outfits that will sell you casting alloy, and most of them are at or a little over $3 a pound by the time you get it to your door. And that's still not a bad deal compared to buying a bullet.
If you do you got a deal here for 66 pounds for $150, that's a lot of alloy. That's a lot of shooting for $150. I gotta tell you this, and I'm going to ask you a question in a moment here, Walter. This will be a good topic, but I have a formula that I use. Right, it's just from algebra. I took some pure lead and some of my Missouri bullets alloy, their magic alloy, and just kind of treating it blindly, even though I knew what the hardness was on the Missouri bullets. I took my hardness pencils and I identified the hardness of the magic alloy, and then I identified the hardness of my range scrap, which was 8. So in my mind, I wanted to know the hardness that I wanted that 8 at, and I ran it through my formula on paper, and that's how much of the magic alloy I put in there, and I came out with right at 12. And 12 with my powder coating shoots pretty good through my 45 AC auto. It also shot good through my 45 Cowboy Special. So now I want to ask you a question, Walter. That's one of the reasons I've been buying the magic alloys. I can mix it with my range scrap. It's easy. But are you saying that when you're going out to the range and you're melting this stuff down and you're casting it, you're saying that you're shooting that as is, powder coated through your 45?
Yes and no. Depends on the bullet. Okay, and here's why it depends on the bullet. For a round nose, 230 grain 45 ACP, okay, standard velocity, 850 feet per second. Then my range scrap, which comes in somewhere between 9 and 10, works fine, provided that I load it at the correct length so that it's going to feed, because a round nose bullet, is going to come up out of that magazine, up the feed ramp, probably hit the top of the barrel hood and just go right into battery. If I cast a semi-wad cutter for 45 ACP out of that BHN 9 or 10, not so much. Because what happens with the semi-wad cutter when it comes up there and hits that barrel hood is it flattens a little bit because it's got that sharp edge on it. So it comes up there, hits the top of the barrel hood, and then slides into battery. Well, when it does that, it flattens that edge of the meat plat just a little bit, and it'll function fine for 30 rounds, and then all of a sudden it'll stop wanting to go fully into battery. But if I open the firearm up, stick my finger up in the chamber and wipe out any residue that's in there, then it'll start working again. So it develops a little more friction when it flattens out like that. So those semi-wad cutters I harden up.
Okay, because I got my 12 to function fine, my 12 BHN. I didn't have any problem, but I didn't shoot a ton of them.
Round nose bullet or semi-wad cutter bullet?
Semi-wad cutter, 200 grain.
Okay, yeah.
Super accurate. I mean,
how many did you shoot?
You hit. What's that?
How many of them did you shoot at one session?
50.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
a 50.
Yeah. So, and as was that a Lee mold that you had for that bullet? Was that?
No, that's my Redding.
Okay, I'd have to go look at that mold, but I think that Redding is a fairly sharp pointed semi-wad cutter, or is it a big wide?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have some.
Yeah, I think that's Seiko Redding's clone or copy of that famous Hensley and Gibbs number 68 that everybody copies, and that's another one that I have that I really like to shoot, and it shoots great till it doesn't out of my Kimber, which is a real tight throated chamber. I have to load it pretty short to get it to continue to function, but I have that same issue with that particular bullet. So it's firearm to firearm, and generally speaking, a semi-wad cutter needs to be just a little bit harder, in my opinion, than the 9 or 10 stuff. But this stuff that I pull out of the berm, and in fact, I just cast 300 bullets today that are a round nose 230 grain bullet, and they'll shoot all day long. Yeah, that's what we call the Hensley and Gibbs number 68 clone. And that style bullet was they came up with that back in late 1940s. It's a tried and true round. So if it's working, don't fix it.
I'm telling you, what you point this at, it hits. It's a little straighter shooting than the 230 grain round nose, and you put a little more velocity on it because it's smaller. And I mean, it's like ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I fully agree.
I was around 11, 12, maybe 13, right in there.
Yeah.
When I saw you were just shooting your rangecraft through that, I was like, man, that would be cool. I wouldn't have to do any mixing, Well,
you can try it and see your firearms, your mileage may vary, as they say. Mine don't like it that soft. I have issues with it. So when I cast that bullet, I add some Rotometal Super Hard to it and take it up to a Lyman number 15 equivalent, about 15 BHN, and then I don't have that problem. And I don't do it that often because that's expensive for me to do it that way. My range scrap, we say it's free, but let's quit lying. We got to have all the equipment, and we got to melt it. We got to do all that kind of stuff. And I spent a couple hours yesterday going through 80 pounds of range scrap. It took me 2 hours to get that stuff reduced down. But, in my mind, it's free. So when I go shoot that range scrap, like in my 230 grain round nose that I cast today, that's a free bullet, and I'm still running on 3-cent primers and a penny's worth of powder if I'm using 700X, which is rapidly becoming one of my favorite powders. That stuff works really well for me. I'm at a nickel around or under. When the guy next to me is buying ammo for his, he's paying $40 for a box of 50s, spending 80 cents every time he pulls the trigger. And so
What's the flashlight, Walter, on that 700?
What's the what on it?
The flash. The flash.
Oh, the flash?
Yeah, muzzle flash.
None. 700X is, it looks a lot like Unique. It doesn't burn like Unique. It actually burns better. And if you put something like Bullseye underneath that 200 grain semi-wad cutter that Highboy was showing, which is kind of, the old school quintessential 200 grain 45 ACP, 4.5 to 5 grains of Bullseye behind that bullet. And it feels like a snap when Bullseye goes off, nice fast burning powder. It all goes at once. 700X is more of a push. Is the best way I can describe it. And so it feels good on these 75-year-old wrists. I'm still driving it out the barrel at 850 feet per second, but it's slower burning. So it takes all the way down that 5-inch 1911 barrel to get that velocity built up. It doesn't happen right at the chamber. And it's inexpensive. And if you go look at the reloading data for it, the charge required to achieve 850 feet per second with 700X is less than what it takes to do the same thing with Bullseye or Tight Group or any of those other ones. So it's economical powder. So that's why I'm using it. And in fact, it was that guy right there who first brought it to my attention a couple of years ago. He had got a hold of it and said, "Hey, try this." And I tried some. I bought a pound and I liked it. And the gun club where I shoot had some still. It's a shotgun powder. It's like unique. Okay, you can use it for anything. And so they had an 8-pound jug, and I went and bought that, and I'm still working off of that. So anyway, if you guys can come across 700X, for quite a while, it was one of the ones that was available when nothing else was.
Sorry, guys.
No, that's right. I got a phone that's like that too.
Thought I had
Can't keep its mouth shut. So yeah, it's a viable alternative. It's a powder you can use for just about everything. I don't know about rifles, but you can use it for shotgun, and just about every handgun can be loaded with 700X. So I've been using a lot of that. And if you're casting bullets and powder coating, it does not react with the powder coat like some of our other ones do. Bullseye and Tight Group, two of our other favorites, both react with the powder coat.
I remember Highboy talking about it a while back in a videos back then.
I'll be honest with you. If all I had was 700X to run through my 9 and my 45, I'd be happy. Would you guys like to see my formula for how I determine how much alloy I want to mix with range scrap?
Yeah. Tell us.
Okay, I'm gonna come down here.
Blow you up. There you go.
Okay, I'm gonna try and get this right. So, okay, this is the formula. Bear with me. If I have 8 pounds of range scrap, hang on, I'm going to waste paper. Wasting paper creates jobs, so I don't care. I'm going to write bigger. If I have 8 pounds of range scrap, and I want a Bernil hardness, a BHN of 12. Okay. How many pounds do I of range of? Okay, this is range scrap. How many pounds of the magic alloy do I need for 12 BHN? All right, remember in algebra when we all fell asleep, because we are doing division here, when we carry this over, this is going to multiply with this. So I'm going to go 12 times 8 divided by 12 equals. So if I go 12 times 8 divided by 12, I think that 8 divided by 12 is 1.5. Let me look, hang on. I'm tired. Oh, 0.66, okay. So 12 times 0.666. If I put 8 pounds, no, that ain't it. Hang on. Now you guys are laughing. Hang on. I got it.
I see what you're doing, Highboy, and I remember you and I had this conversation.
Yeah.
Once before, it might have been last year.
I got it wrote down in the house. And every time I've done this maybe half a dozen times, and every time with those pencils, it comes out. But it's been like, I was doing this before it got hot in the summer, so I forgot the formula.
Yeah.
But
And what Highboy's doing is he's using the math to take a BHN at one level. It's X at X times 16 plus Y times 8. And you can do that to a certain extent, but you have to be careful with it. And here's why. It'll work out pretty well within a given range of BHN. It'll work out pretty well between 10 and say 18. The reason it won't work out with all of the hardness levels is that the Missouri Bullet Company got their stuff to be BHN 16 with one combination of elements. The rain scrap is getting at that BHN of 8 with a different combination
but
of elements. And so
that doesn't play into the equation because
no, it doesn't. But what I'm saying is, I know that it doesn't, because you're doing it by math. And if you try to take elemental materials, like if you try to take pure lead at a BHN of 6 and use your formula with linotype,
I did it.
BHN 22, it may not come out.
No, I had this exact same conversation with this guy, and so I said, okay. So I tried it. I got my, that linotype I've got. I tried it every which way but Sunday, from Sunday, and I would I'll mark it with my pencil so I knew what the hardnesses were, and I mixed it like a half dozen times at least, and every time it came out, and I was going a Brunel hardness all the way from the 12 to I took it to what Oregon Trail was calling theirs to be, what was I took it all the way to 21 BHN, and it worked.
Wow.
How did you cast, or how did you get alloy at 21 BHN? Did you actually physically do it? What did you mix to get BHN 21?
I took my linotype and I mixed it with my magic alloy.
Okay. But what I'm saying is, if you mix that with pure lead, the numbers won't come out.
Well,
I guarantee
it will if you know what number you want. You in other words, you'd have to have 1,000 pounds of linotype against a pound of range brass. But like I took the linotype and I took my range brass, and I wanted 16, and I got 16. I matched the same Brunel hardness as the.
Okay, so let's make a simple formula. Let's take some casting alloy at BHN 16. Whoever has it. Okay. Whoever's got BHN 16, and now add it to pure lead BHN 6. Equal amounts. Equal amounts. Make it easy. 10 pounds of each. What are you going to end up with for your BHN?
Okay. I have an alloy with 16 BHN. Okay.
Take 10 pounds of that.
Okay.
And then take 10 pounds of pure lead at BHN 6.
Okay. I see how you're looking at it.
You're not gonna get the arithmetic average of 16 plus 6 divided by 2. It's not. It won't work out when you start using that formula with elemental materials.
Okay, watch this though. If I know the Brunel hardness of the alloy I'm working with, what's the Brunel hardness of zinc?
It depends on the zinc, but we're not doing zinc. We're doing lead. We're going to do lead right now, and we're going to do BHN 16 magic alloy. So take 10 pounds of your magic alloy at BHN 16 and 10 pounds of pure lead at BHN 6. and tell me with your formula what alloy you think or what hardness you're going to get.
Okay, hold on to that. Okay.
Yeah, I've got to get in that casting. I want cheap bullets.
It gets complicated, and Highboy and I went through this like last year, and the bottom line that we're going to get here is that with kind of typical materials that are already pre-mixed alloys of one form or the other, whether it's range scrap or magic alloy, or whether it's magic alloy and super hard and linotype, you'll get close by using this method that Highboy's going to show you right here. But if you start with pure lead or
because
pure
they're
tin,
equal, it cancels out. It won't work.
What do you mean it won't work?
Well,
it'll work. You'll get a number.
But you gave me what you're okay. This is how the formula works. Okay. I have my knowns, but I don't have. I'm wanting a Brinell hardness of 16. Okay.
Right. No, you already got it. You know. We're not going that way. You started off with 16, and I'm saying using your formula. Say you wanted a BHN, then I'll make this fit your formula. Say you wanted a BHN of let's see, 12.
Okay.
And you're using pure lead, and you're using your magic alloy. What would your rate? What would your mix be?
Okay. So I have. I got to think about it.
I can tell you right now what it'll work out with your formula.
Okay, go ahead.
Your formula will work out that if you want a BHN 12, and I picked that because it's an easy one to do, then according to your formula, if you mixed equal amounts of BHN 16 and BHN 8, that will give you, according to your formula, a BHN of 12.
Okay, if I have 10 pounds of range scrap and it comes out to 8 BHN.
No. Forget about range scrap. This is what the point I'm trying to make is that your formula is not going to work if you use pure lead, pure tin, or pure antimony in your mix. So forget about range scrap. We're not using range scrap, Highboy. We're using magic alloy at BHN 16, and we're using lead at BHN 6. And I want BHN 12. Those are your two. And it will work out using the formula and I know you don't have the formula written down in handy, but it'll come out equal parts.
So I have 10 pounds of range scrap.
No. Highboy, we're not using range scrap. Forget about range scrap.
Okay.
We're using magic alloy and pure lead. Those are our two available alloys.
So I have 10 pounds of pure lead at 6 BHN.
Right.
Okay.
And you have however much magic alloy you want. How much of each do you have to mix to come up with BHN 12? How much of each do you mix?
And I want a 16 Brinell hardness.
No, you want a 12 Brinell hardness.
Is that what you want?
I want 12 Brinell hardness, and my two available components are a BHN 16 and a BHN 8. How much of each do I mix? JH586, Jamie, his formula actually works out to be an averaging process. And in this case, it'll come out the same. I'm not really averaging, but that's what it'll come out with his formula. I've been there and done that. Wow, Michael. Lineman number 2 is $20 for 5 pounds. I think that's their.
Phew.
That's $4 a pound for lineman number 2. That's up there.
Yeah.
But
Yep. Well, hi.
but and Highboy, you can we don't need to bore everybody with this, but you
Okay.
can
Yeah,
you can play with that.
Oh, you're fine.
And
You can put it back.
And what'll happen is that by using pure lead, it'll pencil out using your formula to equal amounts of each, even using the algebraic formula. And Jamie was right. It looks like I'm averaging, but I'm not. I'm doing the math up here too. But what will actually happen when you actually mix those, even though it penciled out to be a BHN12 by using the same amounts of each, what you'll get won't be BHN12.
So let me ask you this. You're saying you have 10 pounds of pure lead and you want and you're wanting a Brunel hardness of 12?
Yeah. And I want you to achieve that by mixing it with the magic alloy, which is BHN 16.
If you use 7.2 pounds of magic alloy with your 6 BHN, you'll have a 12.
How much lead?
You're going to use 10 pounds of lead and 7.2 pounds of magic alloy, and you should be really close to your 12.
Yeah.
Interesting.
If you have a calculator, it'd be interesting if you could put that in.
Yeah, I just did it, and it came out equal amounts. And the only reason that it worked out equal amounts is because I picked 12 because the formula would bring up that to be equal amounts at 12. But what we're saying is that the formula does work pretty well. There's actually a formula. If you go to rotometals.com, they've got a formula that will show you how much the Brunel hardness will increase by adding X percent of tin or X percent of antimony. And that's a little bit involved math. And then there is a pretty good spreadsheet that's out there. And I think that I put that up, Highboy, on your website. A link to the spreadsheet calculator that has all of these.
I went this route because I couldn't get that to work. So.
I know you couldn't. It works for most people. It's an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah,
I know you had trouble getting that to work, and I don't know why, but we never did solve that issue. But it works on my Mac, and it works on most Excel spreadsheets. But it's out there, and it lists all of the different possibilities: linotype, super hard, wheel weights, stick-on wheel weights.
Okay, but there's another thing.
All that kind of stuff. And it works pretty well, but that arrives at the same issue. And it's using basically, Highboy, a formula similar to yours. And the problem with the math formulas is that the chemical elements didn't pass math class. And the way that they combine as an alloy, and they're not chemically combining anyway, we're just mixing these. That's what an alloy is, right? And we're not making new molecules here. We're just combining them. And so their properties interact differently when they are present in different proportions. And so none of the math formulas, even this guy's online calculator isn't perfect. And I had a couple of videos where I showed that on how that works. But bottom line, it's close enough.
Okay, I remember the other reason I went with the formula is you said, "Oh, I'll get with you. I'm gonna help you figure that out." But I started looking at the price of tin, and I thought, how can I just take what I have without buying anything more and just get a Brunel hardness that will work. So I started doing my numbers, and for everything I wanted to load, I got it, and it came out on my pistol test.
And tin is expensive. Tin is one of the most expensive casting alloys that we have. But as it turns out, tin doesn't add much hardness anyway. Tin does some other things for us besides adding hardness. And for example, when I'm using this range scrap, if I discover that my molds the cavities are not filling out very well, I may go throw a couple nuggets of tin in there. And it doesn't change the BHN at all. But what it does is help fill those cavities out better. That makes the lead flow a little bit better. And when you add tin, you got to remember to keep the alloy mixed, tin being lighter than lead. If you don't stir your pot, it floats up to the top. Antimony will do the same thing too if you just walk away and leave it. So you got to keep all that stuff mixed up. But you're absolutely right, Highboy. If you've got other resources besides having to go buy tin, and again, we don't add tin to increase hardness anyway. That's not the function of tin. It adds a little bit, but not enough to make it worthwhile. The tin's in there for other reasons, and your range scrap is going to have some tin in it anyway, and so you usually don't have to add anything in the way of tin. If you buy the Rotometals Super Hard, that's one of the best ways to increase hardness. If you have to go a long way with hardness, if you've got to go from range scrap at BHN 8, 9, or 10 up to 21, you're not going to ever get there by adding magic alloy. It's not going to happen. You got to go to something else. You got to go to foundry type, or you got to go to super hard, and that super hard's 30% antimony and 70% lead, no tin. And
I actually got to 12 with my range scrap and my magic alloy.
Yeah,
I got to it faster with my linotype.
Oh yeah, linotype is 12% antimony or something, so it's up there pretty high. Antimony is the big hardness deal. It's the one that adds the most hardness for us, but it's pricey, and you can't. Well, I won't say you can't. You don't add antimony by adding pure antimony. The melting point of antimony is like 2,000 degrees. It's not going to melt in your pot. So that's why we buy it pre-blended, and it's just like blending walnuts and Cheerios. You can mix them all up, but they're not going to be chemically combined, and so that's why we buy it in the form of linotype, foundry type, monotype, or super hard. We buy it pre-blended like that.
I didn't know they had a calculator on that.
Mario, you guys from Bakersfield are all alike. You know that. You ain't no good riding or walk. Don't take that seriously, guys. Mario and I live only 100 miles apart. He's over across the valley from me. He's such a good guy. You gotta love Mario. Yeah, I was wondering at the Holiday Inn Express.
I was wondering how I'd use that formula you're talking about on the Rotometal. I didn't know they had one.
Yeah, they have one, and AR, if you go to Rotometals and click on any of their bullet casting alloys, and it might be on their, I think down in their side menu of their homepage, they have one of the menu choices is bullet casting alloys. And I think on that main bullet casting alloy page, they show a formula on what'll happen if you add this percent antimony and this percent tin and so forth. But the guy on the Cast Bullets forum is Bumpo69. I think I have to go back and look it up. But I got a video that I put out like last year that shows all about that and has the links and stuff into it and how to consider these different formulas. But his Excel spreadsheet has been kind of the go-to for a decade for casters for blending their available materials to come up with a BHN hardness that is usable. And you can do it by trial and error as well. But his formula works reasonably well, again, within kind of a framework of about BHN 8 up to about BHN 20. His formula is pretty darn close.
I think my internet may be going down. I'm hearing.
Yeah, and you know what's going to happen, guys, is when you start casting, you're gonna read stuff. You're gonna read through your lineman's cast bullet handbook, and it's going to give you some ideas on what hardness your alloy needs to be, and you're going to find out, you know what, if I'm within, 3 or 4 Brunel points from what they say, I'm usually good. The biggest or the most important issue that I've seen in hardness comes from when we get into the realm of a hollow point bullet and how well is it going to mushroom. If that's your point, if you're creating a hunting round and you need that thing to, or a man killer round, you need it to mushroom out, and you don't want it to penetrate all the way through the critter or into the neighbor's house, then Brunel hardness starts to get real important. And then we start getting down to the fine hairs on what that hardness needs to be for that bullet going at that velocity. And a couple points wrong, a couple BHN points wrong, and that bullet won't mushroom. It might fragment, and it might just compress a little bit. It might not do anything if the hardness is incorrect. So they usually need to be a little bit softer, and you got to kind of play with those until you find the right BHN for that bullet at that velocity out of that gun.
Does anyone have a calculator they can put numbers in?
I do.
Or I mean, for a BHN hardness.
The
lead alloy calculator.
Yeah, the best one is Bumpos, and
no, I'm saying just if I read some numbers off, like I don't know if Ronnie has his, but
yeah, I got a calculator, high boy, that if you give me some numbers, I can give you some digits.
Okay, I got a Brunel hardness of 8 and a Brunel hardness of, if I got a Brunel hardness of 8, how many pounds of 16 BHN will I need to come out with a 12 BHN?
Eight and 16, and you need 1 pound for one. It's a 1 for 1 mix.
I have a number 8, and I got 10 pounds of it. How much, basically lineman number 2, am I going to need for a Brunel hardness of 12?
I'm not sure. What am I supposed to do with the number? I've got 12 and I've got 8. Am I supposed to multiply? Because I thought what Walter said was you want to use 1 pound of.
Well, if you use 1 pound of Brunel 6 and 1 pound of BHN 16 anything, what you're going to come out with is about you won't get 12. If you want 12, you got to use, like Highboy's formula came out, 7.5 pounds of the 16 and 10 pounds of the 6. Yeah. But if you take an 8 and a 16 and you want 12, you can use algebra or simple math and addition, and you're going to come out equal parts, no matter how you calculate that. But what I was saying is that
you're close. What's funny about that is I thought you'd come out with equal parts, but my math is saying 9.6
of 9.6 of what?
Well, if I have 8 if I have 10 pounds of range crap, that's a Brunel hardness of 8.
Mm-hmm.
And I want 12. How many pounds of number 2 will I need? It's telling me 9.6 pounds. So
Well, what did you use?
I totally see the amount you're
what
arriving.
BHN did you use for your number 2? Did you use 15 for number 2?
I use 16.
Okay, yeah. So
Sorry, guys, my internet went down.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
I had to reboot the router right quick.
But yeah, and when you use a formula that takes into account the different contributions of lead, tin, and antimony more correctly,
Yeah.
then you'll get a little more precise number because they don't combine mathematically.
Mm-hmm.
The content of the tin affects what the antimony is doing, which affects what the lead is doing. And that's why I'm saying that the math will not always work out exactly. It will be close enough.
That's all I'm saying is it's working for me. Huh.
Yeah. And we've all verified that numerous times with the Lee tester and the pencil tests. 99.9% of the time it will work out. The times that it won't work out is when you start getting up into the higher Brunel hardnesses, or if you start trying to use pure lead instead of some other alloy like rain scrap.
Yeah, and I haven't used
BHNA
lead yet.
Right. So,
yeah,
I mean, you can do the formula and it'll tell you this is what your BHN should be, but then you go mix it that way and test it and it's not. It'll be less than that. So the whole thing is kind of a moot point, really. I mean, let's face it, guys. We're not out here being scientists. We want bullets that are gonna feed, function, and hit the target, and do the job when they hit that target that we want them to do. Some of it comes down to just bootstrap type experimentation on your own part. You know, you go set up some milk jugs or some ballistic gel, and you see if that hollow point bullet expands the way you wanted it to. And if it doesn't, you go softer, or you change the velocity. You either speed it up or slow it down, and until you get to a load that works. So, but back to kind of the original thing. You know, this is kind of fun to talk about casting because I spent the afternoon out there in the garage casting. I cast up a whole bunch today. But
Walter, do you have any bullets to show us what you did? Did you powder coat anything, or do you just have regular?
I just cast them. I'll go get them. Hang on, I'll go get a couple samples.
Yeah, this was a last minute thing. I didn't have a topic, which is rare. We usually come up with a topic. If Echo don't come up with one, I'll come up with one, typically. So I hated that. Won't happen again. So I'm amazed the stream kept going. I rebooted the router, waited for that to come up, and then logged back in.
So, hi, boy, have you been doing any casting?
No, it's been too hot.
Yeah, it is hot. It must be like standing over a furnace.
Yeah, because by the time I get home in the afternoon,
that was good, Echo.
That's the hottest it is, and where I cast is on the sunny side of the house.
It's 70 degrees here in Georgia right now.
Okay, so here is the 45 ACP bullet that I made today. That's pretty.
Oh, that looks nice. Walter, that looks pretty.
Nice.
Just did an Elvis. That is the RCBS 45-230-RN, one lube groove. Okay, it's designed as a 230 grain round nose bullet. This one weighs 235 grains, and it'll be 237 when I powder coat it. And I shoot lots of these. It has rapidly become one of my favorite bullets. It's very similar to the Hensley and Gibbs number 34, and I cast a bunch of those too. But this is a great bullet. And this mold, it's only a 2-cavity mold, but this mold is so good, I'm going to name it. This girl runs so sweet. And I did video today. The video will be up on my channel tomorrow, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
The bottom of that bullet's got almost a mirror finish to it.
Yeah, it's probably just the light that's in here. But
well, it's the screw plate. It looks like it cut very clean on it.
It does. And in the video, I intentionally cut some too soon when the sprue was still too soft, so that you guys could see what we're talking about when you do cut too soon. And what happens is that spot right there where the sprue is tears out, and you end up with a little hole right there. And so the sprue has to solidify. It needs to be cut cleanly, and you want a base that has a nice sharp edge like that. You want the lube groove, even though these are not going to be lubed, you want those lines there to be nice and sharp and crisp. The ogive there, you don't want wrinkles. And this mold throws that bullet all day long, just that good from the very first cast. It's just an incredible mold. And again, I got video on that. So I was out of these, and I've been shooting a lot of them, so I made 200 or 300 of those today. And then this one, this one is one that I haven't done on video before. I've had this mold for quite a while, and it's not one that I really like all that much. Which is why I've never shown it before. This is an actual Hensley and Gibbs mold. So this mold is, actually this one's not all that old. This one was made sometime after 1964, probably between 1964 and 1980 or so. It's about the nearest I can nail it down. So this is a 38 caliber bullet. But if we look closely at this one, well, let me show you this one. This is also a Hensley and Gibbs bullet. Already
hey, Walter.
Good, of course. Yeah.
Can you answer GGW here? He's wanting to know about cantilever, seating depth, top, middle, bottom.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Cantilevers, are they're about revolver and rifle rounds, not about semi-auto rounds, right? So,
gotcha,
and cast bullets don't have cantilevers. We have crimp grooves instead.
Okay.
So if you read the manuals, different manuals give you different ideas about where you should seat the bullet relative to that cantilever. Some say put them right in the middle. Some say put it in the upper 80% of that cantilever. So it varies from resource to resource. I tend to be, I think they should be above the midpoint of the cantilever. And just for example, on a typical 38 caliber bullet, a cantilever is going to be 40 thousandths wide. So you got a lot of room there. The important part is that you want and again, we're talking mostly about revolver and rifle bullets, and we want the lips of that case mouth to crimp into the cantilever so that the bullet doesn't move under recoil. That's the whole point. So as long as you're in there somewhere, you're probably okay above the midpoint. And as long as you do it the same way for each round, so that they're all seated to the same depth, and you do it that way every time. But I think personally you need to be above the midpoint to ensure that you get a good enough grip on that cantilever so that the bullet's not going to move under recoil. Our revolver rounds, because of the way that the action works, the bullet's going to tend to walk forward under recoil. Okay. Our semi-auto rounds, they're going to tend to set back into the case under recoil. But a semi-auto round, we're not doing a roll crimp into a cantilever anyway, right? Because that 45 ACP or that 9mm, they headspace on the case mouth, and so we don't want that case mouth bent in. We just want our crimp removed, so we're not really too concerned about the cantilever as we are with revolver and some of the rifle rounds. But anyway, yeah, hey, halfway to 90% of the way, somewhere in there. And again, it depends on which manual you read. If you read a bunch of manuals, you're going to get a bunch of different answers about where it should be crimped. With with a cast bullet, there's no question because you've got a crimp groove right there, and that's where you crimp. There's no
always the small
where that goes.
Always the small groove, Walter. Is the crimp groove?
I'd hesitate to say always, but that's generally the case, except for the bullet that I'm going to show you in a minute that I cast today, which is why I don't cast very many of them. So this is a Keith, what we call a Keith style bullet, lead forward. Okay, a lot of lead up there on that nose. I shoot lots of these in my Henry with 38 specials because that rifle doesn't like a short 38 special round. It doesn't feed them, but it will with this long nose out there. But yeah, let's see if I can get that a little bit better view there. You can kind of tell the difference between that big wide grease groove and the skinnier crimp groove. And the two grooves are always cut differently. The grease groove is going to be symmetrical. So this edge is going to be the same as this edge over here. The crimp groove, the top edge of it is square, but the bottom edge of it is angled. Okay. So that your case mouth gets bent in along that angle. So if you take a look at cast bullets, they're pretty much all done that way. The crimp groove, the bottom, turn right side, the bottom edge of it's angled, and I can't give you good enough detail on this one. And the top edge of it up here, that line up there is going to be square, but this line down here is angled up a little bit to accept that.
I got you on what you're talking about. Yeah.
But this other bullet that I cast today, this Hensley and Gibbs mold,
it's a lot of grooves.
Yeah, they're all the same. This is a 38 caliber bullet with no crimp groove. It has 3 grease grooves in it. And the nose of it's very similar to that number 51 that I just showed you, the green one. So this guy, while it's possible to crimp into this top grease groove right there, it's not a good idea. That grease groove's too big. So what we got to do there is we got to do a taper crimp up on that top driving band. But and that's why, and that bullet was designed by somebody for some special reason, and I haven't done enough research to know why they did that. I acquired that mold really inexpensively, and to be honest with you, I bought it mostly for the parts because the handles were in really good shape, and so is the rest of the hardware. And sometimes we run across these old molds, and various parts of them, like the handles are burnt, or the screws are bent or something like that. So I'll buy a beater for parts. And then this one actually cast really well. I had to clean it up a lot. So, and I only made 50 of these today. And so I'll load them and shoot them just for fun. It is a good mold as far as how it performs.
I wanted to say something, and it will tie into what he's asking here. Like, on a cannler, a jacketed bullet, you want to crimp to the upper 90% on a cast. That's a unique question because semi-autos, you always do a taper crimp, and the beauty behind a taper crimp is you can crimp wherever you want. And sometimes, like running a Summit City bullet, you got to work with your length a little bit. So your taper crimp, it gives you, ideally, you want to be at least over half if you can. That's going to give you more neck tension to go with your crimp. But in my opinion, even with a roll crimp, the perfect cartridge length is king. A roll crimp still has to be in that crimp groove, but a taper crimp not necessarily.
Right. And that's even more important, Highboy, when you get into casting. If you get some of these older molds, even from like Lyman or Redding and, you know, or Seiko, some of the ones that are no longer in production, I believe that RCBS still makes this particular one. But what happens is that you try loading these. So who knows what the typical cartridge overall length is for a 230 grain round nose ball ammo type round is for 45 ACP. Most guys are going to say 1.26, right? I mean, that's just kind of, if you measure factory ammo for a 230 grain bullet, that's where it's going to be, because that's magazine length. It works fine with everything else. Well, you get some of these older moles, and they may not work. They may not feed or function. So you get to play with that, because look at all of this surface up here that we have available to us to adjust the seating depth and our crimping point then for that particular bullet. You got a lot of room to play with that. Then of course you got to understand that changes our case volume below the base of the bullet when you do that. But as you guys know, I like these old Hensley and Gibbs moles, and there's no load data for them. There's nothing out there anywhere that tells you how deep you should seat that bullet. So you got to figure out what seating depth is going to work. In other words, where are you going to crimp this? Most of the time it comes up pretty close to the top of that high driving band there. But then once you get that, now you got to go start adjusting your charge to make it work. But Highboy's absolutely right with these semi-autos. You've got some wiggle room there on where you're going to crimp that thing, taper crimp, right? For our semi-autos.
So I do want to say something. He's saying that he's loading for a lever and revolver. So based on that, I would have a length where you're going to be roll crimping that at least 50%, somewhere between 50 and 80%, because for your lever action, you want a really strong roll crimp. Okay, here's what happens. If you roll crimp too low in that crimp groove, when you go to roll crimp it, you actually pucker the case and lose neck tension, because you're trying to take brass and do this and hook it. It doesn't work that way. You got to get up 50 to 80% on the crimp groove and then put that roll into it. So you're one for lever action, because you got them in the pipe and you have recoil. You got the base of one shell slamming into the nose of the next. So you want a good crimp. And then the other thing on your revolvers, on a heavy recoil revolver, especially when you're running Ace 110 and Magnum primers, you're going to want to crimp the same way, 50 to 80% with a good strong crimp.
Right. And one of the things that I've run into just in the last couple of years regarding levers and that are shooting revolver rounds, like our 357 levers, our 44 levers, our 45 Colt levers. I can shoot pistol caliber rifles at my gun club's indoor range, but not other rifles. So I've been shooting a lot of my Henrys there, and the reason that they don't want us to shoot anything other than pistol calibers, see Uncle Milty, is noise. It's not about the backstop. So I end up shooting like a 38 special through my Henry 357 lever gun. Well, the overall length becomes important, because a standard 338 special load won't feed in my Henry. Well, it will feed, but what happens is if it's too short, it starts letting the next subsequent round sneak in, and I end up with a double feed in the chamber. So that's why I have to shoot a lead forward bullet, like a Keith style bullet, out of that. So yeah, then overall length starts to get important, and it can come down to, if it's wrong by 5 thousandths, it won't work. So you got to pay attention to it. And how do you know? You load some dummy rounds and try it, until they work.
I've learned a lot here. I've learned a lot listening to you all about this.
Hey, I'm going to tell you guys something. Bullet casting, and I've been at this for 40 years, and I'm still not good at it as good as some other guys. But to me, it forms the third part of the shooting triangle. You know, the casting, the loading, and the shooting, and it gives me one more level of satisfaction of the whole process, one more corner of that picture. Does it save me any money? No. No more than reloading for a lot of us saves us any money. We get to shoot more. But it's also a lot of fun, and if you can come up with resources for your casting alloy, that's even better. You know, that makes it less expensive for you to, you know, that bullet right there was free for me. This bullet was free. Well, except I had to buy a casting pot and some molds and spend a couple hours out in the garage.
Nothing's ever free, Walter.
There's no free lunch.
Has anybody here casted lead pellets? Dead Horse had a question in the side chat asking about mold and casting actually like pellets for like large caliber pellet rifles, like 25 caliber, 22 caliber.
Before you get into that, I got to go. I wanted to thank all the viewers. You guys are so awesome. It's great seeing you, and I met some new ones. So it's a pleasure meeting you. And I want to thank AR Guns, Elliot, and of course Echo for inviting me. And Walter, you're always awesome. And you
got a giveaway.
You've been my mind to learn, and I appreciate that. Thanks.
Hi, boy.
Appreciate you coming
up, don't you, on your channel?
Huh?
Don't you have a giveaway coming up on your channel this weekend?
Yes, on Sunday we got a bore scope that we're giving away. They just got to go to 76highboy.com, become a member, and jump in on it, and then watch for the live stream Sunday. And anyone can join. It's not like you have to have a million posts. Just join the forum, and you can get in on it. So
good forum. Good forum.
It is.
Appreciate you.
Forum. There's a lot there.
Appreciate you coming on.
Hi, boy.
Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, say hello to the missus.
Me and Jer Bear, we're going to be putting a live stream together for either 2 or 3 weeks out. So stay tuned.
Awesome.
It's be like 45 ACP, I believe. So thanks a
Awesome.
lot, everybody. I appreciate all of you.
Take care, Hi Boy.
Thank you.
Good night,
God bless
brother.
everybody. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Now I don't know how to exit out of here.
Turn your computer off.
Lower right. It's a little X.
Close your browser out. That'll do it. I'll take you out.
Yeah. Boy, I don't know. How do we get off on these topics, Elliot? We just start talking and stuff comes up and away we go.
It just kind of comes natural. Yeah. And some of the I had open topics, so it didn't really matter tonight. It wasn't really nothing planned. I wasn't even going to do the stream until the last minute. I said, I'm gonna go ahead and do
good for you. You know, we got off on the casting thing, and I know that there's a lot of guys for the same reasons that folks are wanting to get into reloading right now. You know, because of the ammo shortage. I mean, that has engendered a lot of interest in reloading, so much that our manufacturers can't keep up with the gear and whatnot. You know, look at Dylan there, 18 months out and whatnot. And so the casting thing is just another piece of the picture. And I get email every day, you know, from guys that are saying, hey, you know, what do I do? Where do I start? And is it worth it? And the is it worth it question is another thing that's been thorn under my saddle. And I got a video that I'm wanting to do about if somebody says, is wet tumbling worth it? I don't want to hear your story about, hey, I'm a long distance shooter and I only do 5 rounds a year. And so no, wet tumbling's not worth it for anybody. I don't want to hear that anymore. If it's worth it to you for whatever reason you're doing it, then it's worth it. So, but anyway, that's a different topic. But yeah, all of this stuff is important. And I know we've got some folks out there that are, you know, like G23, looking at the idea, you know, can I do this? Can I start this? What does it cost to start casting? And I get lots of that question. What's it going to cost me to start casting? You can start bullet casting for $200.
Okay.
You won't get very far, but you can start for that. You can go buy a Lee 420 bottom pour pot for around $100. You can get a Lee 2-cavity mold for $25 if you wait and look and get the right one. They're kind of hen's teeth right now too, but nonetheless, aluminum mold. And that's where probably 90% of all casters started, was with a Lee pot and a Lee aluminum mold, and they work. Are they the best? Maybe, depending on what your use is. But you're out maybe $120, $150 there, and you need just a few more little things. You need a bullet sizer and die for $25, and some alloy, and you can go. You can do it. So it doesn't take much, and then it's a rabbit hole after that.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to stay out of that part. I'm gonna get the Pro Pot. I think it's 100 too.
Yeah, wait till your birthday and go look at Midway. They had them. They had those pots on sale for $60-something. I bought one. I bought I have 2 of them, and on my birthday this last summer, Midway gives you these sometimes huge discounts on parts on your birthday every year. So the drill with Midway is, for your big ticket items, you just kind of wait till your birthday. But anyway, I bought another one. It's like $68. I thought, holy cow, I'm just going to get it and put it on the shelf, and my nephew or somebody's going to want to start casting, and I'll give it to them. You spend more than that on a dozen roses for your girlfriend. That $68 is not much to spend on a pot. And I just bought a Lee 2-cavity mold. I had to get it off eBay, but it was $25 plus shipping. It was one that I'd been looking for $380, and the other retail outlets didn't have them. And this particular one is not a common one, since it's for $380. A lot of guys don't even shoot $380, let alone cast for it. So it showed up, and I said, you know what, bingo, man, because I'd been kind of waiting for it. It's a good mold. Andy 79Z28 has one, and he had sent me some bullets that he had cast with that mold, and I shot some out of my little SIG P238, and they shot well. And there's loading data in the Lyman manual for that mold, which is another kind of a big deal with casting. We get a lot of people who find some mold someplace and they start casting, go, well, okay, now what do I do with it? Well, that's backwards. That's like buying a computer and say, now what do I do with a computer? That's backwards too. You identify a task that needs to be done. You go find the software that can do that task. Then you buy the computer that can run that software. That's the progression. Same thing with bullet casting. You start with that Lyman book. You pick your caliber of choice. You go look at all the molds that Lyman lists for that 9mm or that 45 ACP or that 357. Then you go find that mold, because there's load data. It tells you how long to load the cartridge. It gives you a half a dozen or more recipes. And instead of saying, okay, I got this mold, now what I do, there's no load data. So
yeah, I've learned some things tonight, so I appreciate you coming on here talking this. I'm glad in a way it went over to that topic.
You never know where these discussions are going to go. And you know what, Ellen, that's what makes the live chats such a vibrant part of the reloading community, is we get to talk and you don't know where they're going to go. And there can be somebody who's an expert in the side chat and comes on and says, hey, no, you guys are all full of prunes, which is what happens to me frequently. It's always like CW Longshot comes on and says, hey, buddy, you don't know what you're talking about. Shut up. Here's how you're supposed to do that. Or Uncle Jim or somebody, start cracking funny, and we end up having a good time. So I thank you for deciding to run the show tonight.
No, yeah, I'm glad I did. I almost didn't do it. I text Echo a couple times and I said, no, I'm going to do it, even if it's late. I'm going to fire it up. So I'm glad I did, because I learned a little bit. Yeah. And I like the topic, actually. Usually casting, I just sit and listen. I don't usually learn much. But when I have an interest, because I know you know what you're doing, really good at it, I listen. I usually remember things.
Yeah, and it's kind of like the reloading part of it. you can listen, you can read, you can watch until you get your hands on it. It's not going to come together. The casting thing is as much an art as reloading is. You know, you can read all those manuals you want, which you should do to get started.
Right.
But until you actually get in there and start finding out what happens when you're trying to come up with a COAL, hey, it says right here I'm supposed to be at 1.260, and mine are coming out at 1.257 or all the way up to 1.263. What do I do? Am I doing something wrong? You know, and until you've done it enough to know, say, no, you're there. Don't worry about 5,000s. You know. So same thing with casting. You got to go do it, and it'll start making sense after a while. And you'll throw a lot of bullets in back in the pot, which is one of the good things about casting is your mistakes. There's do-overs. You can stick them back in the pot and go again until you get it right.
Yeah, you get really good in detail on it, so I like that because I actually learned something from you.
Well,
I didn't have
I'm glad to hear that.
I've been wondering about that crimp groove, and I knew the lube grooves. Listen to me, but I didn't know. I knew that little slot up there probably was a crimp groove, but some of them I look at and I don't know what to do with them. I go,
Yeah, and the revolver molds are easy because they put for most of them, except for that one that I showed you from Hensley and Gibbs tonight that didn't have a crimp groove, but almost all of them have a crimp groove, and that's where you see to. It's dialed in for you. Yeah, JH586 is over there saying, yeah, finding load data for a cast bullet you own is priceless. It is, you know, because otherwise you're stuck with and I shouldn't say stuck with experimenting, because that's part of the fun too, is working up your loads and figuring out what overall length you should use, and that's dependent on what your firearm likes, and what my firearm likes might not be what your firearm likes. So you get to go experiment and play with them a little bit, and that's part of the fun, I think, as long as you don't blow your face off as you reload.
I say that quite a bit. Blow me up. I'm gonna kind of wind this down here in a few minutes. Here,
I'm getting hungry too. Time to go. Stuff myself full.
I'm trying to get out of the 3 and 4 hour chats. They just kind of drag on, and pretty soon you got 4 people. You know,
they tend to, and sometimes it's better to just say, okay, we'll save this for the next one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I appreciate you all dropping by. I appreciate you, Walter. I learned something from you tonight, so I definitely appreciate it, man.
Good. That makes me feel good.
I enjoyed the stream. I'm gonna keep watching you more though on that stuff, because I got a lot to learn, quite a bit on it.
I got video from my casting today. It'll be up tomorrow evening on my channel. So
okay, I'll watch it.
You can see what I'm talking about making these 2 bullets that I made today.
Okay.
Those are the ones I cast today, and I got some video of that up. See how it worked.
Okay. Yeah, I'll check it out. Appreciate you all dropping by. Good to see you, JH. Let me go ahead and call the chat out right quick. Hey, G23, good to have you. GW Reloading, Dead Horse, Michael Hurtnick, Mario, JH, of course, GGW, I already called him. Let's see, yeah, we're getting low here. Let's see, 67 Rebel, SST, good to see you, brother. Who else here? Andy79Z28, Tim S. Appreciate you dropping by, guys. I really do. Turned out actually a great stream. Who else? Reloader762 I called. That's it. Well, no, wait a minute. Curtis Long.
We had High Boy himself here tonight.
Yeah, I was shocked. I didn't know he apparently Echo texted him. And let's see who else. Curtis Long I called. I think I got out you all of you. Hang on just a second. Uncle Milty, can't forget him.
Uncle Milty was here, yeah.
Yeah. Appreciate you dropping by, Uncle Milty. Of course, High Boy, I definitely appreciate that. G23, I think I called. That's it, guys. I appreciate it. Enjoyed the stream. What you got going on, Echo? What do you want to talk about before we leave?
Nothing. I'm just going to be doing my show tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern. If you guys aren't working, stop by and hang out with me and AR. Okay. We're going to be talking reloading. That's about it. What's going on? So thank you very much for coming and hanging out with us this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate it very much.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I really did.
Yeah, me too. Thanks for the invite to come on, AR.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, drop by anytime, man. I mean, you're the man when it comes to casting. You're
Well, I don't
good
know
at
about
it. Wealth of knowledge, man.
that,
How many years you been doing it?
I started casting about 40 years ago, not long after I started reloading, and then I kind of
Wow.
quit for a while, and then about maybe
Mhm.
15 years ago, kind of came back into it pretty strong,
Mm-hmm.
and
Cool.
been enjoying it. Collecting some antique molds, that's been fun.
Mm-hmm. Hey, good to see Uncle Jim. Anyway, you all have a good night. I
Hey, Uncle
appreciate you dropping
Jim.
by. Appreciate you dropping in. Hopefully next Thursday, same time. Oh, actually 8 o'clock. We'll get there. Try to get there on time, guys. So have a good one. And we're out.
All right, boys. Good night.
Night, man. Night all in the side chat.
Take care.
It turned into a good